Welcome to the Days Adventure Podcast. I'm your host, David Visser, and today I am thrilled to bring you the first episode of a multi-episode series that will take you on an extraordinary journey through the wild heart of our planet, Tanzania. In this series, we'll explore the vast, breathtaking landscapes of the Serengeti, stand in awe beneath the snow-covered peak of Kilimanjaro, and dive into the crystal-clear waters of the Indian Ocean and connect with the vibrant life that pulsates through this incredible region. My journey to Tanzania didn't start when I booked my flight or packed my bags. It began years ago when I was a 12-year-old boy, captivated by the wonders of the natural world, watching Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom on our old family television set. I remember one episode vividly. It featured the Serengeti and the Great Migration. The raw beauty of the landscape, the thunderous herds of wildebeest crossing the plains, and the predatory precision of the lions. It all painted a picture of untamed, majestic wilderness that just sparked a fire within me. Growing up, travel wasn't something we did often, but despite the limitations, or maybe because of them, I made a promise to my 12-year-old self as I sat there, eyes glued to the screen. I vowed that one day I would stand on the soil of Tanzania and witness these wonders firsthand. That childhood promise became a guiding star, shaping my fascination with the natural world and fueling a dream that would take decades to realize. So in this first episode, I invite you to join me as we explore the roots of this adventure. We'll dive into the dreams and the aspiration that led me to Tanzania in the first place, and the excitement and the uncertainties that came with embarking on a journey of this magnitude. Let's begin this incredible adventure together, discovering not just the wonders of Tanzania, but also the spirit of exploration that drives us all. This is the Days Adventure Podcast. Welcome to the journey. That episode of Wild Kingdom didn't just captivate my young mind, it ignited a passion that has driven much of my life. The moment I saw those animals in their natural habitat, something shifted within me. I developed a deep admiration for the wildlife and its inhabitants of our incredible world. It was like opening a door to a vast, unexplored universe, filled with creatures of all shapes and sizes, each with their own unique stories and secrets. I became fascinated with all kinds of animals, reptiles, understanding their habitats and their roles they play in the ecosystem. Birds with their incredible evolution and diversity captured my imagination. And then there were the mammals, majestic, powerful, and varied beyond belief. I found myself diving into books, documentaries, learning about their environmental needs, their diets, their behaviors, and their roles in this delicate balance of nature. This curiosity wasn't just about understanding these animals. It was about conserving them, protecting the delicate ecosystem they inhabited, and ensuring that these magnificent creatures continued to thrive. Conservation became a passion, and my desire to witness these animals in their natural habitat grew stronger with every story I read, every documentary I watched. As I grew older, this passion for wildlife also translated into a love of travel. I've been fortunate to journey across many parts of the globe, each destination offering its own unique wildlife and ecosystem to explore. But there was always one place that remained just out of reach, a place that, to me, represented the pinnacle of wildlife adventure and discovery, the African continent. Africa, with its vast savannas, dense jungles, and iconic wildlife, was the ultimate dream. And yet, despite all my travels, I'd never set foot on its soil. The call of Africa grew stronger over the years, resonating with the same excitement and wonder I felt as a 12-year-old boy watching the Serengeti on television. It wasn't just about checking off another destination on my list. It was about fulfilling a promise to myself, a promise to experience the wild heart of our planet firsthand. And so, the dream of Tanzania was born, a journey that would take years of planning, saving, and preparation. A journey that, despite the challenges and uncertainties, I was determined to make it a reality. The planning for this trip started 5 years before we actually set foot in Tanzania. My initial thought was to share this incredible adventure with my brother Danny, who is an incredible photographer. And if you get a chance, check out Artistic Chameleon Photography. We've been living thousands of kilometers away from each other since we were in our 20s, and I knew this would be the kind of journey that would create a lifetime of memories for both of us. Originally, it was just going to be the two of us setting out to explore the wilds of Africa. But to my surprise and joy, 2 more people were intrigued by the idea and eager to join us. My Uncle Sid, who is also an adventurous person, and a longtime friend of Danny's, Lori. They both threw their hats in the ring, making our small group of explorers a party of 4. With 4 of us on board, the planning began in earnest. Usually, when I travel, I love to chart my own course, discovering hidden gems and crafting a unique itinerary that suits my curiosity. But for Tanzania, I recognized the stakes were far too high to go forward without some sort of expert guidance. This wasn't just another trip. This was an adventure into some of the wildest, most breathtaking landscapes on Earth. And it wasn't just me. There was 3 other people that were coming along. The first thing we did was dive into research, reading countless travel blogs about Tanzania. I wanted to understand the different types of safaris, the major sites, the nuances of traveling in this remarkable country. After hours of reading and learning, I started to piece together a list of must-see experiences. The original list went something like this. Witness the Big 5 on safari, the Cape buffalo, the lion, rhino, leopard, and the mighty elephant. But I also wanted to add cheetahs to my list. Their speed and grace were something I didn't want to miss. And then there was Mount Kilimanjaro. Being on it, climbing its slopes, and feeling its ancient power beneath my feet. I wanted to camp under the stars in the Serengeti, to be surrounded by the sounds of the African night. A visit to Ngorongoro Crater was a must, a place like no other on Earth, where wildlife thrives in a unique ecosystem. And finally, a trip to Zanzibar to snorkel in the clear, warm waters of the Indian Ocean. An adventure that would take us from the heights of Kilimanjaro to the depths of the Indian Ocean. We wanted to put all these dreams together, so we sat down as a group to discuss what was important to each of us. It was a collaborative process, filled with excitement and anticipation as we imagined what would lay ahead. We all agreed on the main priorities, but there were still details to work out. How long would we stay? What was the best time of the year to go? And how would we navigate this vast, varied land? The planning was intense, but it was also part of the adventure. It brought us together, united by a common goal and a shared dream. Little did we know, however, that the world had other plans, and a challenge was waiting on the horizon that none of us could have anticipated. With our initial plans in place, the next step was to find the right travel agent to help turn our dreams into reality. I visited 5 different travel agencies, each offering their own version of a safari experience. The options range from economical backpacking trips to ultra-luxury, expansive adventures. It was overwhelming to say the least, but it was crucial to find someone who truly understood what we were looking for and could work within our budget. After meeting with various agents, only one truly seemed to get it. He understood our vision, our priorities, and the kind of experience we wanted, all while respecting our budget. If you're considering a trip like this, my advice is not to go cheap or overly economical unless you're planning on making multiple trips back. This isn't the kind of adventure where you want to cut corners. We initially budgeted for roughly around $8,000 per person for 2 weeks, which admittedly ended up being a little bit more, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. That travel agent was Sunny. He wasn't just knowledgeable about Tanzania, he had lived it, a native of Tanzania. Sunny travels back to his hometown every year, bringing a deep personal connection and first-hand experience to his work. When I walked him through our list of priorities, he was able to put together something truly special, an itinerary that captures the essence of what we wanted while respecting the limits of our budget. We did have to make one adjustment to our original plan. Climbing Mount Kilimanjaro was a dream, but we had to set it aside due to health concerns and high altitudes. While it was a bit of a disappointment, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Instead of climbing the mountain, we found out that we would be landing at Kilimanjaro International Airport. Just seeing that iconic peak from the air was a thrill in itself, and it added a special touch to the beginning of our adventure. Choosing Sunny as our guide was one of the best decisions we made. His knowledge, experience, and personal connection to Tanzania gave us the confidence that our journey would be everything we dreamed of and much more. The journey to Tanzania wasn't just about the excitement of witnessing incredible wildlife. It was also about understanding the land, its rhythms, and how everything here is interconnected. But pulling off a trip like this isn't just about booking a flight. It requires careful planning and, most importantly, understanding Tanzania and its seasons. The first and perhaps most essential lesson I learned from Sunny was his deep knowledge of Tanzania's ecosystem and the weather cycles that shaped every part of our adventure. He explained how Tanzania's rainy seasons aren't just a factor for travelers, they're the lifeblood of the entire region, shaping both the wildlife and its people who call this remarkable land home. Tanzania has 2 rainy seasons, and each plays a critical role in maintaining that delicate balance of its ecosystems. The long rains from March to May bring heavy downpours that transform the dry plains into a lush green paradise. These rains replenish water sources, breathe life into the vegetation, and set the stage for one of the greatest natural spectacles on Earth, the Great Migration. During this time, millions of wildebeest, zebras, and other grazers follow the rains in search of fresh grass. It's this constant cycle of rejuvenation that sustains not only the herbivores, but also the predators that depend on them. The shorter rainy season from November to January is less intense, but just as vital. It helps sustain water levels and provides much needed boost to the vegetation after the long, dry months. For the wildlife, it's a time for preparation, rebuilding strength and resources before the next migration cycle begins. Sunny emphasized the importance of timing our trip during the dry seasons, when wildlife viewing is at its best. The first dry season is from June to October, and it is particularly special. This is when the Great Migration reaches its dramatic climax in Tanzania, especially during August and September. At this time, the herds converge in the northern Serengeti, gathering by the Mira River. It's here that you'll witness one of the most iconic moments in nature. Thousands of wildebeest and zebras braving the treacherous river crossing, where crocodiles lie in wait and predators prowl the banks. It's a breathtaking mix of chaos, survival, and sheer instinct. Watching this migration at its peak isn't just about the spectacle of the animals themselves, it's about understanding the profound effect this moment has on the entire ecosystem. The herds graze down the vegetation as they move, creating space for new growth. Their migration enriches the soil, spreads seeds, and feeds countless of predators along the way. Without it, the balance of life here would collapse. Sonny called it the heartbeat of the Serengeti, and seeing it in person, I understood exactly what he meant. The dry season also offers its own unique advantages. With water sources dwindling, wildlife is drawn to rivers and watering holes, making it easier to spot animals gathering in large numbers. Also, the long grasses are long gone during the dry season. And for those who are visiting in January or February, the calving season is another unforgettable experience. Seeing thousands of wildebeest calves born within weeks of each other not only offers a glimpse into the cycle of life, but it also attracts predators, creating an intense moment of raw, untamed nature. This knowledge wasn't just about logistics. It deepened my appreciation for the land and the way everything here is connected. The Great Migration isn't just a journey for the animals. It's a vital process that sustains the Serengeti and ensures the survival of countless species. Knowing when to go and what to expect helped us experience this remarkable event at its peak. Sonny's advice gave us an edge, ensuring we planned our adventure around the best possible conditions. But it also reminded me that planning a trip like this isn't just about convenience. It's about respecting the land, understanding its rhythms, and aligning ourselves with the natural cycles that have shaped this region for a millennia. When planning our adventure, we were captivated by the idea of seeing the famous Big Five: the Cape buffalo, leopard, lion, elephant, and the rhino. These animals aren't just icons of African wildlife, they represent a safari's ultimate challenge, as they were once considered the most dangerous animals for hunters to track on foot. For us, it wasn't about the danger, but the thrill of witnessing these majestic creatures in their natural habitat. The thought of locking eyes with a leopard or watching a family of elephants cross the savannah filled us with anticipation. But we didn't want to stop there. Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa's tallest mountain, was also on our list. While we wouldn't be climbing it, the thought of standing in its shadow, seeing its snow-capped peak piercing through the clouds, was exhilarating. We also dreamed of camping under the vast Serengeti sky, exploring the Ngorongoro Crater, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that is often called the Eden of Africa, and ending our journey on the sun-soaked beaches of Zanzibar, where we imagined diving into the crystal-clear waters and wandering through the spice markets of Stone Town, a city rich with history and culture. Sonny was instrumental in turning this vision into reality. One of his most valuable pieces of advice was about logistics, specifically flying between destinations. Tanzania is massive, and while driving might seem adventurous, it can eat up precious time. Sonny arranged flights between Kilimanjaro, the Serengeti, and Zanzibar, ensuring we spent less time in transit and more time experiencing the wonders of this incredible country. Our itinerary was set and everything was falling into place. But then, like so many dreams in 2020, ours was put on hold by the global pandemic. What was supposed to be a journey of a lifetime in 2020 was delayed by 2 years. There were moments of uncertainty, times where we wondered if it was ever going to happen. But Sonny's persistence and guidance kept our hope alive. Finally, in September 2022, we were on our way to Tanzania. In hindsight, the delay gave us something invaluable: time to prepare and immerse ourselves in Tanzania's history and wildlife. I spent hours learning about conservation efforts that make this country so special. Places like the Serengeti and Ngorongoro Crater are not just tourist destinations, they're critical habitats for endangered species, like the elusive black rhino and the African wild dog. Every step of this journey was beginning to feel like more than just a trip. It was an opportunity to connect with the land that values its natural heritage and works tirelessly to protect it for generations to come. Looking back now, the journey wasn't just about seeing iconic animals and landscapes or ticking off a travel bucket list. It was about resilience of the land, the wildlife, and even ourselves. This was more than just a safari. It was a celebration of the beauty and interconnectedness of life in Tanzania, a country that has left a lasting imprint on my heart. Planning a safari in Tanzania isn't just about choosing the right destination or securing your visa. It's about preparing yourself for an unforgettable experience. It's about balancing the excitement of the journey with the practical steps that will help make it seamless. Let's get into some of the preparations and helpful tips that help make this trip so amazing. As someone who has always had a hard time packing light, I can tell you that learning to pack smartly was a game changer. Not only does it make traveling easier, but in Tanzania, it's a necessity. Capacity in safari vehicles is limited, and flights to destinations like Zanzibar have very strict weight restrictions. So let's dive into what you really need to bring and how to prepare for a safari like this. First, let's talk about the essentials. When it comes to clothing, the right kind of clothing is very important. The climate in Tanzania demands light-colored, breathable fabrics with UV protection, especially if you're coming from a northern country. Long-sleeve shirts and long pants not only protect you from the intense African sun, but it also guards against mosquitoes and the infamous tsetse fly. Muted colors like khaki, olive, and gray blend into the environment so the animals you are observing don't get spooked. It also helps you to avoid attracting pests. Bright blues and blacks, however, are a no-go. Those colors act as magnets for tsetse flies and other flying insects. In Ngorongoro National Park, you will notice the fly traps are large canvases made from black and blue fabric coated in an insecticide for that very reason. I found that packing lightweight UV protected clothing was a lifesaver, especially on those long days under the sun. Comfortable hiking boots like the ones I bought from Keen, paired with smart wool socks, were perfect for the long days of walking, standing, and even climbing in and out of the safari vehicle. Trust me on this. Comfortable feet can make or break your experience. And don't forget a wide-brimmed hat to shield your face and neck. While the African sun is beautiful, it's also very unforgiving. Another essential? A warm coat or sweater. Nights at high altitudes like the Ngorongoro Crater can get quite cool, with temperatures dipping around 10 degrees Celsius. After long, warm days, those chilly evenings catch you by surprise, especially when you're relaxing outside or camping. On the electronic side, this is where I want to speak to my fellow photographers. If you're planning to capture the magic of Tanzania, a camera with video capabilities is essential. Now, if you don't have that capability, a GoPro is an excellent option. They're small and they're durable. I highly recommend bringing 2 camera bodies if you have them, along with a versatile 18 to 200 millimeter lens, and I would highly suggest in bringing a 600 millimeter lens for those stunning wildlife close-ups. Personally, I use the 600 millimeter lens for about 95% of my shots. If you're new to longer lenses, practice before your trip. It can take time to master. And don't forget to service your camera gear before and after your journey. Dust and wear and tear can take a toll on your equipment. Memory cards are another area where you should never skimp. Bring more than you think you'll need. Between my brother and I, we took over 10,000 photos in RAW format. along with about 60 minutes worth of video. I also took along my GoPro for capturing unique perspectives and to capture underwater video in Zanzibar. And for your phone, purchasing a local SIM card in Tanzania is a smart move and much more economical. Most places, including safari vehicles, have Wi-Fi, but having a local SIM ensures you're always connected, whether it's for navigation, local calls, or staying in touch with loved ones.
Health preparations are just as crucial. Tanzania is a malaria zone, so taking prophylactic medication is a must. I took a medication commonly known as Malarone and thankfully experienced no side effects. But always consult your doctor to find the best option for you. Additionally, pack medication for traveler's diarrhea or bacterial upsets. Other essentials include insect repellent. I recommend Piactive, a DEET-free option that worked incredibly well. And don't forget your sunscreen to protect against Africa's unforgiving sun.
When it comes to vaccinations, check with your doctor or travel clinic. For Tanzania, I needed a typhoid vaccine, and because Canada is a yellow fever-free zone, I carried a note from my doctor stating this, as it's sometimes required at entry points. Don't forget to bring copies of your vaccination records, just to be safe. Another crucial preparation is understanding Tanzania's electricity system. The standard voltage is 230 volts with a frequency of 50 hertz. The most common plug type is the British 3-square pin, but also the European 2-round pin style is also used. Make sure to bring an adapter with a built-in fuse to handle potential surges. While we didn't experience any electrical issues, others we met did. Pack your cords too. Forgetting a charger can be a frustrating inconvenience. Now let's talk about travel documents. Yes, you'll need a passport, but you'll also need to apply for a visa to enter Tanzania. The process is straightforward and can be done entirely online for a fee of $50 USD. I recommend applying at least 3 months before your trip to allow for processing time, although we received ours in just 7 days. If you're traveling from or through a country with yellow fever, be prepared to show proof of vaccination. These are small but essential details that ensure smooth entry into the country. Packing light isn't just about clothing or gear, it's about leaving behind unnecessary distractions. I chose not to bring my laptop or tablet. Instead, I focused on soaking in the experience, saving photo processing and editing for when I returned home. The only electronics that I brought were my camera, a power bank for emergencies, 2 universal adapters, my phone, and a GoPro. Trust me, you won't miss your devices when you're surrounded by such breathtaking beauty. Lastly, don't underestimate the power of a good tip. Guides, staff, and hotel workers go above and beyond to make your journey unforgettable. Remember, your guide is with you every day, and they're also away from their families. Your guide will share their years of knowledge about wildlife and culture. Bring small denominations of USD currency for tipping. It's the preferred method and shows your appreciation. Most importantly, tip your guide generously at the end of your journey with larger bills like 10s and 20s. Their knowledge and expertise will make all the difference in your experience. As I packed for this trip, I realized it wasn't just about the physical items. It was about preparing my mind and heart for a once-in-a-lifetime adventure. Every step of preparation brought me closer to the reality of being in Tanzania, a place I had dreamed of since I was a boy. And as I stood there, looking at my neatly packed bag, I knew this journey would be one I would carry with me for a lifetime. The day had finally arrived, the beginning of a journey I'd been dreaming about for decades. And to make it even more special, it was my brother's birthday. We kicked things off with a small family celebration at the hotel the night before. My sister even joined us, adding her spark to an already festive evening. It was a perfect way to set the stage for what was ahead, with great food, laughter, and excitement buzzing in the air.
Early the next morning, we arrived at Toronto Pearson International Airport, fueled by coffee, orange juice, and a hearty breakfast. With customs behind us, the countdown began for our long-haul flight. Ahead of us lay 17 hours to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, followed by a 3-hour layover and then a 2.5-hour flight to Kilimanjaro. A long journey, yes, but we were ready, hydrated, rested, with a plan to binge watch, read, and relax. We were prepared to embrace the adventure.
Flying with Ethiopian Airlines was an experience in itself. The service was excellent. Attentive staff, comfortable seating, and fresh, delicious food that made those 17 hours much more bearable. The care they put into the journey didn't go unnoticed. I learned a few tips and tricks to make long flights like this one a breeze, and they make all the difference. Wear comfortable clothing, layer up in your favorite hoodie or scarf, something cozy enough for a lazy Sunday afternoon on the couch. Stay hydrated. Don't overdo it with alcohol the day before or during the flight. It makes jet lag much worse. Bring some of your favorite snacks. Chocolate raisins and chocolate bark with nuts were my go-to. Noise-canceling headphones were a game changer for me. They help keep the chatter and the airplane noises at bay. And be sure to bring your charging cords with you. Also, move around when you can. Walk the aisles, stretch, keep the blood flowing, when safe and appropriate. For me, meditation helped me find some calm and get a little rest. It's worth giving it a try if you struggle sleeping on planes. These little things made the journey not just tolerable, but enjoyable. As the hours ticked by and the cabin lights dimmed, I found myself reflecting on what lay ahead. Every hour brought us closer to the adventure of a lifetime, and as we descended into Addis Ababa, the excitement was palpable. But here's the thing, our first surprise came before we even reached Tanzania, and let me tell you, it was an unforgettable moment that set the tone for everything that followed. But that's a story for the next episode, where our adventure kicks off in full force the moment we touch down. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. That's it for this episode of The Day's Adventure. Remember, stay curious, stay engaged, and never stop chasing the next great adventure. The world is full of wonders, and your next journey is just one episode away. To keep the adventure alive, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for the video versions and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Want more? Hit subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you'll never miss the next thrilling episode. The world's waiting. See you next time on The Day's Adventure.